Hey Midnights. Thank you for listening to Midnight Overdose. Where are you listening from? Our next story, how close encounters ignited a generation's UFO obsession, and conspiracy theories. Steven Spielberg's 1977 science fiction masterpiece, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, stands as a landmark in cinematic history, praised for its groundbreaking special effects, awe-inspiring sense of wonder, and unique portrayal of extraterrestrial contact. While the film is a work of fiction, it draws heavily from real-world UFO lore, scientific research, and human psychology, weaving a narrative that resonates deeply with humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown. The truth behind the movie lies not in a single, documented event, but in its masterful synthesis of existing UFO phenomena and the very human desire for transcendent experiences. The film opens with inexplicable global phenomena. Long-lost World War II aircraft reappear in the Sonoran Desert, perfectly preserved, and a missing cargo ship is found in the Gobi Desert, decades after its disappearance. Simultaneously, a series of widespread power outages and strange aerial lights begin to plague Muncie, Indiana. Roy Neary, a blue-collar electrical lineman, experiences a bewildering close encounter with a UFO that leaves him physically and psychologically altered. He becomes obsessed with a distinct five-tone musical phrase and a recurring mental image of a mountain, later identified as Devil's Tower in Wyoming. His obsession alienates his family, but he finds a kindred spirit in Jillian Geiler, a single mother whose young son, Barry, was abducted by the same UFOs. Meanwhile, an international team of scientists, led by the enigmatic French researcher Claude Lacombe, investigates these global anomalies, eventually deciphering the five-tone melody as a set of coordinates pointing to Devil's Tower. As the government orchestrates an elaborate cover-up to evacuate the area, claiming a nerve gas spill, Roy and Jillian, driven by their inexplicable compulsions, bypass the military blockade to reach the designated landing site. There, they witness the spectacular arrival of an enormous alien mothership and finally experience a benevolent close encounter of the third kind, culminating in a moment of profound communication and choice. Upon its release, Close Encounters of the Third Kind deeply resonated with audiences, evoking a spectrum of powerful reactions. Many were utterly mesmerized by its sense of wonder and awe, a stark contrast to the often terrifying alien narratives that preceded it. Viewers emerged from theaters filled with a newfound or rekindled sense of optimism about extraterrestrial life, believing that contact could indeed be a peaceful and even transcendent experience. The film's groundbreaking special effects, particularly the detailed and immense mothership and the vibrant alien lights, left audiences genuinely stunned, making the impossible seem vividly real. People spoke for weeks about the iconic five-tone melody, humming it and trying to recreate it, demonstrating how deeply the film had embedded itself in the cultural consciousness. Beyond the spectacle, many found themselves profoundly moved by Roy Neary's relatable struggle and his desperate quest for truth, seeing a reflection of their own yearning for something more, something beyond the mundane. For some, the film solidified a belief in UFOs, providing a cinematic proof that felt more tangible than news reports. For others, it was a deeply emotional and spiritual experience, touching upon universal themes of discovery, connection, and humanity's place in the cosmos. The pervasive feeling was one of hope and exhilaration, mixed with a lingering sense of mystery about the possibilities of the universe. One of the most fundamental details that grounds Close Encounters in reality is its title itself. The film directly references the classification system developed by Dr. J. Allen Hynek, a renowned astronomer who served as a scientific advisor to Project Blue Book, the U.S. Air Force's official study into UFOs from 1952 to 1969. Hynek's system categorizes UFO sightings based on their proximity and impact: close encounters of the first kind, sighting of a UFO within 500 feet, close encounters of the second kind, a UFO sighting that leaves physical trace evidence, and close encounters of the third kind, direct observation of animate beings associated with a UFO. Hynek's work was crucial to the film's development, and he even had a cameo appearance in the final scene, a testament to his influence. Spielberg immersed himself in UFO research, including reports from Project Blue Book and interviews with individuals who claimed to have experienced encounters. This research gave the film's incidents a compelling sense of verisimilitude, mirroring common elements found in numerous reported UFO sightings, such as widespread power outages that plague Roy Neary's neighborhood, inexplicable lights in the sky that defy conventional explanation, and peculiar encounters with disoriented individuals exhibiting sunburnt faces or bizarre, compulsive behaviors. The script's attention to details like the sudden stillness of animals before a UFO sighting or the feeling of static electricity in the air all contributed to this realistic veneer. The film's protagonist, Roy Neary, Richard Dreyfuss, an ordinary blue-collar worker from Muncie, Indiana, embodies the everyman thrust into extraordinary circumstances. His obsessive behavior after his encounter, including his frantic, almost involuntary compulsion to sculpt Devil's Tower out of mashed potatoes, then dirt, and eventually chicken wire, reflects documented psychological responses of individuals who claim to have had intense UFO experiences. These accounts often include an unshakable sense of destiny, a feeling of being called, and a sudden preoccupation with specific symbols or locations. While no single Roy Neary exists, his character is an amalgam of real-life accounts of people who experienced radical shifts in their lives and perceptions after such events, often leading to profound social isolation. The internal struggle and the alienation from family and society that Roy experiences, as his increasingly frustrated wife Ronnie attempts to hold their disintegrating household together, are common threads in many narratives of alleged contactees, who often feel misunderstood or ridiculed. Furthermore, Close Encounters subtly incorporates elements of a government cover-up, a popular theory within ufology that gained significant traction in the post-Vietnam and Watergate era. The military's coordinated effort to evacuate the area around Devil's Tower, under the thinly veiled guise of a nerve gas spill, reflects the pervasive belief that governments routinely withhold information about extraterrestrial phenomena from the public. This elaborate charade, involving news broadcasts playing pre-recorded warnings and soldiers coercing residents to leave their homes, taps into public skepticism and distrust of official narratives. While not explicitly based on a specific declassified government document, the theme of a clandestine operation to manage contact, controlling the narrative and access to information, reflects the public's widespread perception of how such an event might actually be handled in secrecy. The film deftly plays on the tension between the official lie and the character's individual pursuit of the truth, a pursuit that feels deeply resonant with a populace wary of authority. While the film takes liberties with specific fantastical elements, such as the reappearance of long-lost aircraft, like Flight 19 from the Bermuda Triangle incident, in pristine condition and the seamless, instantaneous absorption of individuals into the alien craft, these serve to heighten the sense of wonder and underscore the inexplicable nature of the phenomenon. They are metaphorical representations of the profound, almost miraculous impact an encounter could have, transcending the boundaries of known physics and human understanding, rather than literal transcriptions of real-world incidents. These moments emphasize the film's underlying message of extraordinary possibilities beyond our current comprehension. In essence, the truth behind Close Encounters of the Third Kind lies not in its being a direct retelling of a specific historical event, but in its profound understanding and cinematic extrapolation of real-world UFO phenomena and human reactions to the unknown. Spielberg masterfully used the established lexicon of UFO research, anecdotal accounts, and the psychological impact of such experiences to craft a narrative that felt authentic, even as it ventured into the realm of the extraordinary. The film captured the public's imagination because it tapped into a collective hope for benevolent extraterrestrial contact, offering a vision of communion rather than conflict, and forever shaping the cultural understanding of what a close encounter might truly entail, solidifying its place as a cornerstone of UFO mythology and popular culture. Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind landed in 1977 at a particularly fertile moment for conspiracy theories, especially those concerning government secrecy and UFOs. The film didn't just reflect existing anxieties, it inadvertently became a focal point for them, largely due to its nuanced portrayal of official efforts to control information and the prevailing public distrust of authority in the post-Watergate era. One of the primary reasons the movie came into focus for conspiracy theorists was its depiction of a deliberate government cover-up. The military in Close Encounters doesn't merely dismiss UFO sightings, they actively engineer a massive deception. This is vividly portrayed through the forced evacuation of the area around Devil's Tower under the fabricated guise of a nerve gas spill. This elaborate ruse, complete with ominous news broadcasts warning of imminent danger and soldiers coercing residents with threats of arrest or worse, resonated deeply with the burgeoning belief that governments routinely lie to their citizens, particularly about sensitive topics like UFOs and national security. The film presented a plausible, within its narrative framework, scenario of how such a cover-up could be orchestrated, lending a chilling sense of truth to what many already suspected was happening in the real world. The sheer scale of the deception in the film, involving multiple government agencies and widespread media manipulation, mirrored the scope of fears about government overreach and hidden agendas. This portrayal was especially potent given the historical context of the 1970s. The Watergate scandal had fundamentally eroded public trust in government institutions, revealing layers of deceit, surveillance, and abuses of power at the highest levels. Revelations of secret operations by the CIA and FBI, such as Project MKUltra, further fueled widespread skepticism and cynicism. This created an environment where the idea of a cosmic Watergate, a massive government cover-up regarding extraterrestrial life, seemed not just plausible, but almost inevitable to some. Close Encounters tapped directly into this widespread paranoia. Even though Spielberg's intention was to tell a story of wonder and benevolent contact, the film's initial setup with the military's deceptive tactics felt very much in line with the real-world anxieties of the time, making the fictional cover-up feel alarmingly authentic to many viewers. Furthermore, the film's collaboration with and consultation of Dr. J. Allen Hynek, a legitimate scientific advisor to the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book, added an unexpected layer of credibility that significantly fueled the conspiracy theories. Hynek had undergone a public transformation from a skeptical scientific consultant who often debunked UFO sightings to a vocal proponent of the unknown intelligence hypothesis for UFOs. He even coined the term cosmic Watergate to describe what he believed was a systematic suppression of information by the U.S. government. His involvement in Close Encounters lent the film an air of authenticity that suggested its fictional cover-up had roots in real-world observations and investigations. For many UFO enthusiasts, Hynek's presence in the film, even in a brief cameo, was seen as a tacit endorsement that the film was shedding light on a hidden truth, perhaps subtly communicating information that he couldn't openly disclose. Conspiracy theories around Close Encounters also took a more specific turn, with some ufologists viewing it as a soft disclosure or introduction program orchestrated by the government itself. This theory posited that the film was not merely entertainment, but a deliberate effort to acclimatize the public to the idea of friendly aliens, thereby preparing them for future, more direct contact. The film's ultimately optimistic portrayal of extraterrestrial beings, who are peaceful, curious, and communicate through universal concepts like music and light, was seen by some as a strategic move to shape public perception away from the fear-mongering alien invasion narratives prevalent in earlier science fiction. Instead of promoting panic, Close Encounters offered a vision of wonder and mutual understanding, which some interpreted as part of a larger, long-term governmental agenda to ease humanity into the reality of alien presence. While Spielberg himself intended the film to be a story about wonder and the human desire for something more, he was also keenly aware of the prevailing atmosphere of suspicion. His choice to depict the government's secrecy, even if ultimately overcome by the truth by the film's protagonists, acknowledged and played into the existing popular narratives of hidden truths and suppressed information. This interplay between the film's fantastical elements and its grounded, if exaggerated, portrayal of governmental control made Close Encounters of the Third Kind not just a science fiction film, but a powerful reflection and, for some, even a reinforcement, of the complex and often shadowy world of UFO conspiracy theories. Steven Spielberg has had a complex and evolving relationship with the conspiracy theories that have swirled around Close Encounters of the Third Kind. While he drew inspiration from real-world UFO phenomena and the prevailing societal distrust of government, his primary aim was to create a film about wonder and human aspiration, not to actively propagate or endorse specific conspiracy narratives. Spielberg's initial fascination with UFOs was genuine and deeply personal. He was a devotee of the UFO phenomenon in the 1970s, as he himself remarked, absorbing every piece of lore and every documented sighting he could find. His early concept for the film, even before it solidified into Close Encounters, was titled Watch the Skies and explicitly explored the pervasive suspicion forged in the post-Watergate era, dealing with the idea of government secrets and public manipulation. This demonstrates that he was acutely aware of the conspiracy zeitgeist and deliberately chose to incorporate elements of it into his storytelling from the very beginning. The nerve gas cover-up in the film, for instance, wasn't just a convenient plot device, it resonated deeply with a public already conditioned to be suspicious of official explanations and government narratives. He understood the dramatic tension inherent in the idea of a hidden truth. However, Spielberg has largely dismissed the more outlandish claims that the film was a deliberate government soft disclosure program or that he was somehow a knowing participant in such an agenda. He views such rumors as good old-fashioned urban myths, categorizing them alongside other popular but unfounded conspiracies, like the persistent belief that Stanley Kubrick directed the fake Apollo moon landings. While he acknowledges that the film might have inadvertently achieved something akin to acclimating the public to the idea of benevolent alien contact, he attributes this to the film's inherent artistic impact and the sheer power of compelling storytelling, rather than a conscious effort on his part to serve a governmental agenda. He sees it as a serendipitous outcome of the narrative's positive message. In fact, Spielberg's own perspective on the film, particularly its controversial ending, has changed significantly over time, which further distances him from the idea of it being a grand conspiracy blueprint. He has famously stated that if he were to make Close Encounters today, He would not have Roy Neary leave his family to go with the aliens. He wrote the film before he became a father, and his later experience of parenthood profoundly altered his view of a father abandoning his children, even for a transcendent, cosmic experience. This personal evolution in his own moral and emotional compass highlights that his creative decisions were intrinsically driven by his artistic vision and personal growth at the time of writing and directing, not by an external, conspiratorial mandate or a predetermined government message. It underscores the organic nature of his creative process. Essentially, Spielberg's stance is that he used elements from established UFO lore, documented psychological responses to alleged contact, and prevailing societal anxieties as rich raw material for his story. He synthesized these diverse ideas and elevated them to create a work of art that explores universal themes of wonder, obsession, and the human search for meaning beyond the mundane. He was a storyteller using the tools of his craft to weave a compelling narrative, not a propagandist or a pawn in a larger government plot. While he understood and even subtly capitalized on the public's fascination with conspiracy by including the government cover-up subplot, he never explicitly endorsed the notion that his film was to be a direct revelation of suppressed government secrets. His focus remained on the emotional and spiritual journey of his characters and the awe-inspiring spectacle of first contact, a message of hope and curiosity that ultimately resonated more deeply than any underlying paranoia. Spielberg's position on the conspiracy theories surrounding Close Encounters of the Third Kind is one of nuanced attachment. He acknowledges the cultural and historical backdrop that made such theories plausible and the film's unintended contribution to them. However, he firmly maintains that the film is a product of his artistic vision, personal growth, and genuine fascination with the unknown, not a tool for government indoctrination or a literal revelation of hidden truths. His emphasis on storytelling, personal evolution, and the film's broader cultural impact underscores that for him, Close Encounters is a cinematic journey into wonder, not a conspiratorial blueprint. The conspiracies and rumors surrounding Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind are a dense thicket, often intertwined with broader UFO mythology and deep-seated distrust of government. The film's critical and commercial success, combined with its unique narrative approach, made it a prime candidate for these theories to flourish, elevating it beyond a mere work of fiction in the minds of many. One of the most prominent and persistent conspiracy theories is that Close Encounters wasn't just a science fiction film, but a deliberate, government-sanctioned program designed to soften up the public and psychologically prepare them for the eventual reality of benevolent extraterrestrial contact. The core belief here is that the film was a carefully orchestrated piece of public relations. Unlike many earlier alien films that portrayed terrifying invaders, such as the ruthless Martians in The War of the Worlds or the monstrous creature in The Thing from Another World, Close Encounters offered a remarkably hopeful, awe-inspiring, and ultimately friendly vision of aliens. These beings communicate through universal concepts like music and light, ultimately inviting humans to join them in a journey of discovery. Conspiracy theorists argued that this overwhelmingly positive portrayal was too perfectly aligned with the growing public interest in UFOs to be mere coincidence, implying a strategic motive behind its creation. The aliens' almost angelic appearance and their peaceful demeanor were seen as a deliberate attempt to counteract decades of little green men invasion tropes, setting a new, less fearful precedent. Implied government involvement underpinned this soft disclosure theory. Rumors suggested that various government agencies, particularly shadowy factions within the military or intelligence communities like the supposed Majestic 12 group, actively advised Spielberg during the film's development. These alleged advisors supposedly provided him with leaked or subtly guided information to incorporate into the film's narrative. The underlying belief was that official disclosure of alien presence was imminent, and Close Encounters was a carefully crafted psychological operation to manage public reaction and prevent panic. The film's almost propagandistic feel in promoting a positive view of extraterrestrial life was taken as evidence of a hidden agenda, often tied to a long game of preparing humanity for a new cosmic reality. Beyond just soft disclosure, some theories claim that the film contained actual, covertly revealed classified information about UFOs and alien contact. A persistent rumor was that the original design for the aliens in Close Encounters was far more accurate to alleged real alien physiology, often implying the grays frequently described in abduction accounts. However, this theory suggested that the Pentagon or other unnamed agencies forced Spielberg to significantly alter their appearance to a less recognizable, more benign, almost ethereal form. The supposed reason was to avoid startling the public or inadvertently revealing too much truth about the actual beings already known to clandestine government projects. Furthermore, the detailed depiction of the Devil's Tower landing site, the specific 5-note musical tones used for communication, and the intricate coordination among international scientists were sometimes interpreted as mirroring actual, though secret, protocols for first contact. The film's entire narrative, including the methods of alien communication and interaction, was seen as a sanitized or allegorical version of real events or highly classified contingency plans, effectively a partial leak. Dr. J. Allen Hynek's pivotal role in the film's authenticity became a central pillar for these conspiracy theories. Hynek, the astronomer who developed the close encounter classification system that gave the film its title, served as a technical advisor to the film and even made a brief cameo. His journey from a skeptical scientific consultant for the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book to a vocal proponent of the unknown intelligence hypothesis for UFOs was well known in ufology circles. He had grown increasingly critical of the Air Force's official debunking of UFO sightings, going so far as to coin the term Cosmic Watergate to describe what he believed was a systematic suppression of information by the U.S. government. His involvement in close encounters was therefore seen by many as adding immense, almost undeniable, credibility to the film's premise, implying that the narrative was based on his genuine, albeit unpublicized, findings. For believers, Hynek's presence in the film, even in a brief cameo, was interpreted as a subtle nod to this deeper truth, suggesting he used the platform of a major Hollywood movie as a vehicle to communicate what he knew, indirectly bypassing official channels. Rumors also circulated about production interference and secrecy that were attributed to external, government influence. Documents later revealed that the U.S. military formally rejected Spielberg's request for production support for Close Encounters, explicitly stating that the film's depiction of UFOs existing and the government covering it up was counter to Air Force and DoD policy. While this factual rejection actually demonstrates a lack of direct cooperation, some conspiracy theorists spun it as inverted evidence. They argued it showed the military's extreme sensitivity to the topic, indicating they indeed had something significant to hide, thus validating the film's cover-up narrative. Furthermore, while the film was notoriously expensive and went over budget, some speculative rumors suggested that its funding or unexpected resources came from covert, government-related sources, further hinting at a non-standard production influenced by hidden hands seeking to push a specific narrative or perhaps even recover costs from alleged reverse engineering projects. Finally, a more extreme theory posited that the film contained subliminal messaging or psychological triggers designed to subtly influence viewers' perceptions of aliens and government authority. The recurring, almost hypnotic visual of Devil's Tower appearing in various forms, mashed potatoes, dirt, clay, and the intense, almost involuntary compulsion felt by Raniere and Gillian Geiler to go to this specific location were sometimes cited as examples of this programming, a way to subtly implant the destination in the collective unconscious. The film's use of specific musical tones for communication was also seen as a form of auditory conditioning, aiming to make audiences more receptive to the idea of alien contact through a universal language. In the contemporary landscape of UFO/unidentified aerial phenomenon discourse, these older theories find new life and often merge with newer revelations. The recent declassification efforts by the U.S. government regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, unidentified aerial phenomenons, and the establishment of official unidentified aerial phenomenon reporting mechanisms have brought the topic of government transparency surrounding anomalous phenomena back into sharp focus. With former intelligence officials like David Grush claiming that the U.S. has engaged in a decades-long cover-up of crashed UFOs and non-human biologics, these assertions directly echo the themes present in Close Encounters. For many, this recent disclosure, even if partial, legitimizes the very suspicions and narratives that Spielberg's film explored. The ongoing conversation about the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, now AOMSC, then ARO, and the official acknowledgement of certain unidentified aerial sightings provide a new backdrop for interpreting Close Encounters. While the film is fictional, its portrayal of a secretive government, obsessed individuals, and benevolent alien contact now feels eerily prescient to those who believe the government is slowly, carefully, preparing the public for a larger truth, making the soft disclosure theory more compelling than ever for a new generation. The line between science fiction and perceived science fact continues to blur, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind remains a central, enduring reference point in this evolving narrative. Specific parts of the movie are particularly of interest that aroused conspiracy theories due to their direct portrayal of elements central to UFO lore and government secrecy. The initial global anomalies and found objects, Flight 19, SS Cotopaxi, the film's mysterious opening, were long-lost World War II aircraft, a clear allusion to the real-life disappearance of Flight 19 in the Bermuda Triangle, and a missing cargo ship are found in pristine condition in highly unexpected locations, the Sonoran Desert and Gobi Desert, respectively, immediately sets a tone of extraordinary, unexplained phenomena. For conspiracy theorists, these scenes were direct cinematic nods to real-world vanishings and alleged anomalous retrievals that are often attributed to extraterrestrial involvement. The quiet, almost clinical way the military and scientists secure and analyze these artifacts, without public fanfare, hinted at a long-standing, secretive handling of extraordinary events, a core tenet of government cover-up theories. The widespread power outages and initial UFO sightings. The film opens with ordinary citizens, like Roy Neary, experiencing common elements of widely reported UFO sightings, inexplicable widespread power failures, flickering lights in homes and vehicles, and the sudden appearance of strange, bright aerial phenomena performing impossible maneuvers. The fact that multiple, seemingly unrelated people across different locations experience remarkably similar phenomena lends an air of credible, widespread impact within the narrative, mirroring how real-life UFO waves are often reported. The disorientation, sunburn, photokeratitis, and psychological shock Roy experiences after his direct exposure to the UFO were interpreted by some as detailed, almost medically precise nods to physiological effects reported by alleged contactees in real-world accounts, suggesting insider knowledge. The psychic compulsion to visualize and create Devil's Tower. This is a crucial element that captivated and fueled conspiracy theories. Both Roy Neary and Gillian Geiler, along with other seemingly random individuals across the country, begin experiencing an intense, almost maddening, and inescapable compulsion to visualize and create models of Devil's Tower. Roy's descent into obsession, from meticulously sculpting his mashed potatoes into the mountain to creating a large, intricate model in his living room, directly reflects accounts of implanted visions, telepathic communication, or an irresistible calling reported by alleged alien contactees. For conspiracy theorists, this was a clear, dramatic depiction of how an extraterrestrial intelligence might subtly influence human minds to gather them at a designated, pre-selected location for contact, implying the aliens possess sophisticated psychological manipulation capabilities. The government's elaborate cover-up and forced evacuation at Devil's Tower. This is arguably the most significant aspect of the film that directly fueled and legitimized pre-existing government conspiracy theories. The U.S. military's highly organized and deceptive orchestration of a massive evacuation of the area around Devil's Tower, using a fabricated nerve gas spill as a pretext, is a direct cinematic representation of what many UFO theorists believe is actual government policy regarding UFO encounters. The extensive resources deployed, the widespread media manipulation, ominous fake news reports, misleading PSAs, and the forceful suppression of dissenting voices, soldiers coercing residents, destroying property, all played directly into the public's deep-seated distrust of government that was pervasive in the post-Watergate era. This extensive scene strongly suggested that governments are not only fully aware of extraterrestrial activity but are also willing to go to extreme, unethical lengths to conceal it from the public, viewing citizens as assets to be managed rather than informed. The alien communication through the five-tone musical phrase, the film's iconic five-note sequence, GAFFC, used for initial communication between humans and aliens, and its subsequent elaboration into complex melodic exchanges, became a powerful symbol of potential universal communication. For conspiracy theorists, the idea that aliens could communicate using a seemingly universal language like music, and that human scientists could decipher and respond to it, suggested a deeper, possibly real, understanding of such interactions that might be known to secret government projects. This specific, memorable musical motif was interpreted by some as a genuine key or code that could one day be used, making the film a sort of predictive programming. The selection of human passengers and the benevolent departure, the climactic scene where Roy Neary, along with other chosen individuals from around the world, boards the magnificent alien mothership to depart with the extraterrestrials, sparked the soft disclosure theory. The overwhelmingly benevolent nature of the aliens, the invitational rather than forceful recruitment, and the peaceful, almost spiritual tone of the departure directly challenged the prevalent alien invasion tropes of cinema. Instead, it offered a hopeful narrative of communion and shared destiny. This was interpreted by some as a desired outcome being subtly promoted by unseen forces, preparing humanity for a future where alien contact is not only real but also positive. The diverse, international group of chosen individuals also hinted at a global, rather than merely American, phenomenon and interaction, suggesting a broader scope of contact that transcends national boundaries.